Thank you everybody for joining today. Welcome back. This is Cassie J and I am here to do another review. Today I am doing 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After. We are doing, I don't even remember what episode this is because I didn't even write that down. But it is Hell Has No Fury. It should be like a woman scorned. They should have went ahead and finished that title out. But they didn't. And the woman that is scorned is Larissa. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about her first, knock her on out. So Larissa left off last week with her talking to Natalie. And Natalie was the girl that Eric was talking to when her and him had broke up for that brief little time. And Natalie was telling her about how Eric had been talking bad about her, talking about their sexual encounters and so on and so forth. And it's nothing anybody wants to hear. Like, you don't want to hear anybody saying anything negative about you, especially somebody that you were in love with and that you are now back in a relationship with because, you know, you're giving it a second go round. So, yeah, it's just not a good thing. Like, I don't think I would want to talk to any of my exes, you know, unless they have like children or something. Is there some reason that they are still having a relationship with them? Because I just don't feel like there'll be any good conversation that will come. But then again, let me take that back. Then again, you could learn something possibly positive from them. But in her case, she didn't learn anything good. All she heard was all bad. Everything she heard was bad. I mean, he said that she gave bad sex. She learned that Eric and Colt had met up and they were talking about how their sexual experiences with her were as well. So it just brought her self-esteem down. So I did feel bad for her because, you know, regardless of how I might not like somebody on the show, you never want to see somebody get torn down. I just don't. I don't want to see that happen to anybody. And that's what I felt happened with her. She was getting torn down. Now, while she was in the middle of talking to her, Eric did come and she told Natalie, you know, we have to hang up. He's here. She did confront him. Eric basically said, we made a pact once we started back dating that we would not bring up anything from the past. This is something from the past, so we shouldn't be talking about it. He basically tried to dismiss it. Like, it's over, it's done, that's in the past, we were broken up. When you break up with somebody, you say things that you don't necessarily, you might mean it then, but it's like now we're moving on, so like I don't mean it now. I meant it then, but like it's over with. Like, come on, let's move forward. Unfortunately, that is something that you have to accept in a relationship. If you choose to go back to someone that you previously were involved with, you kind of have to know that there's a possibility that they might have said something that they would not say about you now. But Larissa wasn't too convinced. She kind of felt like this is how he really feels to this day. And she just didn't understand how you could say something about someone that you cared about, even though you were broken up. How could you say that about me? They did get into a heated argument. She brought up the fact that, you know, you were using my phone, the phone I gave you to talk to this girl about me. She left. She stormed out. She went to go talk to her friend Carmen. Carmen kind of was like, you know, I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so. While she was talking to Carmen, Eric's roommate David called and said, you know, Eric told me that you have his phone. Why did you take his phone? He wants it back. And Larissa told him that this is not his phone, it's my phone. I let him borrow it, and now I want it back now that I know that he has been talking negatively about me to other people. So Larissa has now found herself in a situation where Eric could potentially call the police. Either Eric might call the police or his roommate David might call the police on her, which is something that she did not need to be, a situation she didn't need to find herself in because of her current status with, immigration. If she gets in trouble again, she could be deported. The roommate said, just give the phone back. It's better this way because you do not want to find yourself in trouble where you are going to end up being deported. Just let it go. It's better. I do agree with him in the sense like you don't want to get caught up in something so simple as a stolen phone, even though it wouldn't be stolen because it was her phone, but because you are in this fragile state right now, you're going to be the one in trouble, unfortunately. Moving on to Elizabeth and Andreas. Andre comes and asks Elizabeth, are we going to still do this wedding or not? Seeing that they had just got into an argument about it, and Elizabeth essentially called the wedding off in a sense. And Elizabeth said, I would like to continue to do the wedding. I'm still here, aren't I? I flew all the way out here. My dad and my brother are here. Yeah, I guess we're going to do it. I personally would have been like, no, I'm packing my stuff up when we're going back home. But she loves him for whatever reason. But then he goes and it's like, okay, you're trying to convince this woman to still marry you. But then you go and insult her family and her in the same sentence. He was like, I feel the reason why we're not having a good time here is because you invited your family and your family is being very insulting and they're causing this rift in between us. I'm like, did you forget that you two were having issues before? Did you forget that y'all were arguing at the venue? Did you forget about all these other issues that you were having before her family even got there? It's not her family, it's you. You are the common denominator of this math problem, of this equation. You're the problem. Here's the math problem. You're at the bottom of it. Like, it's you. It's not her family. But you are such an egotistical maniac that you want to blame everybody but yourself. So, of course, naturally, Elizabeth doesn't want to deal with it. She gets up. I've noticed her getaway, her scapegoat is, I'm going to go check on the baby. And she walks away. Now, later on, they are sitting down having dinner with his family and his brothers. So, Elizabeth's dad and brother are still on this mission of trying to find out everything they can about Andre. And I understand because it was like, finally, because we didn't get the opportunity before you got married. So this go round, we want to try to find out as much as we can while we have the opportunity to be around your family and people that we feel like are going to do that. Like, they're going to be more open than you have been. And so they're continuing on with their questionings. Like, they want to know, why did he move from Moldova to Ireland? What was your previous work history like? Why did you stop being a cop? Was it hard work that made you want to stop doing it? Was it something dangerous? Or was it, some other reason behind it? What did you do when you were in Ireland with your friend? Were you really just a bouncer? What made you want to leave Ireland if life was so good there? Like, questions that anybody would ask. If you as a friend or a family member, met your friend or a family member, significant other, you're going to ask questions about them. So, hey, what did you do if you live somewhere else? You're going to ask them, hey, what do you do now? Like, it's stuff that you're going to ask, especially since you haven't had these conversations previously. Of course, Andre took it as, oh no, you're just trying to interrogate me and I'm not up for this. Like, you're just asking personal questions that you don't need to know. I told you guys what I want you to know. And he said those exact words. I told you the story that I want you to know. And that's all you need to know. Let it go. In the middle of all of these questions, because the friends were kind of telling some information, and it seemed like the more information that they told, the more the brother and dad wanted to know. It was like, okay, we're getting somewhere. Let me ask a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. Because they could tell by the way and the answers that they were given it's something here. Like, it's more to this story. It's more to this pie here. And Andre was getting upset, in my opinion, that he was like, now listen, y'all, like I just told y'all, I told them the story that I want them to know. Hey, don't tell them the real story. I got a secret here, and I got a good life going on here. I don't want to ruin it. So Andre gets upset, and he basically challenges her brother and was like, listen, we can take this outside. Like, catch me outside. Like, I'm not about to keep talking to you. So the brother said, fine by me, let's go. We can go outside. I'm cool with that. And they get up, and then, like, they're about to start tussling. Elizabeth's in the middle of this the whole time. Like, I felt bad for her because it's like Andre was on one side of her saying, are you going to step in and say something? And then her brother's on the other side of her, are you going to step in and say something? And she's like, no, I'm tired of being in the middle. You guys are both big boys. Handle this. You guys can discuss this and work this out. That's how they chose to work it out. They're going to fight it out. Now, Asuelo and Kalani. Asuelo is such a child. He's so childish and so immature. He needs to grow all the way up. You are now a father and a husband. He decided that he wants to go see his sister and his mother in Washington. Kalani agrees, let's go see them, fine. But when they called his mother says that I need you to give me some money when you come. I want $1,000. Kalani was like, no, that's not going to work. We're not going to be able to do that. So what she decided to do instead was let's go and get them some gifts. Asuelo says, gifts are great. I do want to get them some gifts. So they're in a store. They're getting gifts. And he was like, I still want to give them some money. Kalani says, okay, well, how much money are you thinking about giving them? I'm thinking maybe $20. And he was looking at her like, that was an insult. How dare you give my mother $20? He was like, I think we should get the gifts and still give them $1,000. She was like, no. He was like, 500. Like, she said, you work part-time. So essentially, I'm the one that's going to be coming up with all the money, not you. She said, do you know how long you would have to work to come up with the money you're trying to give? And that would mean you're taking money out of our household. And he was upset that she was not wanting to give the money. Like, he was like, this is what my family does. We buy stuff for each other. We give each other money. And she was like, that's not family. You don't have to buy your family's affection. He said, well, that's what we do. We buy stuff for each other. We buy our family's affection. That's not love, okay? Let me tell you something. You do not have to buy your family's love. You don't have to buy affection from each other. Gifts and money are nice. But if that's the only way you can show love, that's just not love. That's just not love. It's not. You don't have to buy affection from people. You don't. Now, Kalani has asked her sister to come to help because she said she knows she's going to need it because she's concerned that Asuelo is not going to be there. He's going to abandon her like he does at home. And she's smart for doing that. Now, when they first get to Washington, he was upset because the family was already prepared for them. Like, they prepared, like, for them to arrive and to see them, and they had cooked dinner and all this stuff, but it had gotten late, the kids were cranky, and she was like, we need to just get, to where we're going to stay and put the kids down. We'll have to just see your family the next day. And him being immature and bratty and spoiled, he was throwing a fit worse than the kids. This is just annoying. This is just BS. I need him to grow up. I just need him to grow up. Moving on to Colt and Jess. Colt and Jess, they're wrapping up from going back to say goodbye to Jess's family because she'll be going back to the States too. And before they leave, Colt does ask Jess's dad for her hand in marriage. He agrees, he accepts, and he was like, I give you my permission. Of course, Miss Deb sees this and she's like, what's going on? So in the car ride back to the hotel, she questions why was he over there talking to Jess's dad. And he lies and was like, oh, we was just talking about sports. She doesn't believe him 100%, but she knew she couldn't push it. So Jess made the comment that she's really going to miss her family because she knows that it's going to be a while before she comes back. And Dale brings it up, well, I thought your visa expires in 6 months, so aren't you going to be back here in 6 months? And Jess was like, well, I don't know. I might be back in 6 months, I might not, but that's my whole point is she doesn't know what's going to happen next. She might be back in 6 months when her visa expires, or she might be staying longer. But of course, we know why Deb's asking. Deb is wanting to know, are y'all trying to get married? Are we trying to do this K-1 visa? Is that what you're trying to do? Because she doesn't trust Jess. So when she gets back to the room, Deb calls Vanessa to check on the cats. Really, she just wanted to call to talk to her about Jess and to let her know what's been going on the trip. While she's talking to her, she called, Colt and Jess comes over and she was like, okay, well, I'll talk to you later. And she tells, mentions it out loud. Oh, I called Vanessa. The cats are doing good. I let her know, how the trip's going. Jess gets upset because Colt has told her that he is no longer talking to Vanessa, which was not true. Miss Deb knew that because he had already talked to her about that. He had already told his mom that Jess did not like him having this relationship with Vanessa. That's where we leave off. But they did ask Miss Deb in her interview, they was like, did you do that on purpose? Did you not know about, Colt having this conversation with Jess and her being upset about it? And she just kind of smirked like, maybe, maybe not. Deb, you're being messy, and I feel like you keep trying to push all these women out of your son's life for him just to be with you forever. Eventually, he's going to resent you. Let your son find happiness, okay? Let him be happy. Moving to Michael and Angela. Angela lets Michael know that she went to the doctor to get tested and found out that it's a possibility that she might have cancer. And if she does have cancer, that does mean that she would not be able to carry a child. When she told him that, of course, he naturally reacted. He was concerned for her health and her well-being overall, but that naturally led him to feel like, if you can't have a child, I'm not sure what that means for our relationship. Angela gets upset because she felt like, well, if your love is not strong enough for me that you can't make it through this, then I don't know why we're even doing this. We should go ahead and break up now. I understand how she feels. She's entitled to her feelings. However, she knows that this is very important to him. She knew that from the beginning. That's why she's been doing all of this. So I kind of feel like she can't get that upset with him that he feels like this. Like, if you can't have a child, that he might want to pursue something else. You should love him enough to let him go, because you are in your 50s and he's in his 20s, 30s, and this is something that he wants to do and you don't. You should let him go. Don't hold him to you knowing that he will not be able to fulfill something that he truly wants to do in life because you've already lived your life. Let him go. So the doctor did call and told her that the test results came back. She does not have cancer, which was good news. He was very happy. She was happy to hear it too, but she was still upset with him because he could not give her a definite answer on, if I cannot have kids, will you still marry me? Will you still stay with me? And he just told her, I can't give you a definite answer on that right now. I just can't. That's a lot for me to have to process now that we know there's a possibility, a stronger possibility that you might not be able to have one. Now, Carini and Paul. Carini, we didn't see her this episode, but Paul goes to meet his mom at a pet store because he says he wanted to talk to her, but really what he wanted her to do was to buy some dog food. I don't know why they have a dog if you can't afford to take care of the humans. Huh. So the mom calls him a deadbeat and says that you need to get up on your own 2 feet. You need to get a job. And he was like, well, with me having this felony, it's really hard. People already judge me and so on and so forth. There's a lot of places that hire people that have felonies. They actually have a list. Like, you can Google it, and there's a list of companies that hire people with felonies. I'm going to need for him to go to the library and Google that and find those companies and get you a job to support you and your family because your wife wants to leave. It doesn't make any sense for you. I just feel like you're just lazy and you procrastinate and you're just, like your mom said, you're a deadbeat. I just really do. I just feel like it's a part of your character. So, and I also had an issue with, every time I see him, he seems to have the same clothes on. He has on those brown boots, these khaki shorts, and that blue shirt. I don't ever hardly see him wear anything different. I don't know if he just has multiple pairs of these clothes, these outfits, or if he really just wears the same clothes all the time. Anyway, that was it for them two. Like, it was short, cute, sweet, and over with. Now, the last couple was Tanya and Sinjin. So they are going to South Africa. Sinjin's very excited. And I was happy for him. He gets to go back and see his family. Of course, Tanya was a little bit hesitant because she was like, I don't want you to get down there with your family and you forget that, you're a married man and you get so comfortable and then you reconsider coming back or so on and so forth. Now, on the way there, at the airport and stuff, Tanya, starts joking about his drinking. And he was just like, don't act like I drink all the time. Like, I'm just drunk all the time. And she was like, I know you're not, but, when you do drink, you do these things. And you kind of act this way when you drink and so on and so forth. And so Sinjin was like, well, Tanya, you're not like a perfect angel either when you drink. You cut up too. And she's like, so it was easy. It was okay for her to say it. Like, the saying, don't dish it out if you can't take it. Well, that's exactly what happened. She was dishing it out, but then when he said something back to her, all of a sudden it was a problem. So I don't like that about her. Like, she always seems to come at him, but God forbid he comes back at her. It's a problem. Now they get to the airport, they get on the plane, they go to the hotel. There was another scene that kind of irritated me with her when he was like, okay, let's go. We got to get going. And they're in the hotel. They're checking out. And she was like, well, can I at least finish my tea? He was like, yeah, babe, go ahead, finish your tea. And she's just like, this tea is so good. And she was sipping it so slow. And he was like, is this like a bottomless cup of tea? Like, honey, you've been sipping like... And she was like, well, it's so good. You said I could drink it. He said, yeah, but like, I meant finish it up. Like, wrap it up. Come on, let's go. Like, I feel like she was just dragging her feet to be dragging it. Now, had it been him, she would have had a fit. It's like she was stalling because she just doesn't want him to go and be with his family. Like, it's like, I'm trying to delay the inevitable. Come on, it's going to happen. He's going to go see his family. And naturally, the next thing is when he sees his family, he's so excited. He's so happy. He's hugging them, and he's just back home. And if you know that feeling of being back home with your family after you haven't seen them in a while, it's a feeling that's indescribable. She seemed irritated, and that was just like, why are you irritated? Like, I would have left her at home. I would have left her at home. She irritated me this whole episode. Like, so I enjoyed the episode. It was good. I look forward to next week's episode as well. I feel like it's going to be pretty good too. I just want to thank everybody for your support. Continue to like, subscribe, comment, and share, and hit your bell to make sure you get all the notifications and all that stuff when I upload. Me and this little outfit's been struggling this whole video. But yeah, until the next video. Bye.